Welcome back to another week in Weed Watchers with Doobie and Clay here, bringing it down. There has been yet another action-packed week, alongside some major bumps in the SPY, and even Bitcoin is bouncing, which is always good for cannabis stocks. So let's get right into it and talk a little bit about what we do here. This is a group effort with no brokerage or investment advice given. This is all informational for the good of the people, by the good of the people. So introduce myself. My name is Clay. I run a consultancy where we do strategic advising services. We have this Weed Watchers website and associated YouTube channel that we're starting to pile on these videos and help people try to figure out what's going on, what's hot, what's not, and why it's going up, and why you should cover your butt, and how earnings work, and review a few charts here. We got a few social media services, but let's take a look at what's going on in the global cannabis index per new cannabis ventures. We got a serious uptick here over the last day. Let's look at the 1 year to see how it's been going down. And I think what you're seeing here is what happened in the March drop with the entire market, and we have been on a steady drive up. We've got some highs to reach over that were set in early June, but we're getting into the season of more concentration on cannabis, which is always the fall. Big spikes have happened in September, October, November in 2017, 18, and 19. We also are running up to the elections, which will have a very specific effect on this industry as a whole, both for as Canada advances and as the United States finds its feet and begins its climb towards more of a world dominance stage. So let's look at what the National Institute of Cannabis Investors is looking like. Once again, a year-to-date chart. We're going up the Nikkei 50 stocks as they got here. Again, that bottoming out in mid-March, and again, they've got this top. And I think if we see this, what is forming, one could say, a cup and handle since the year-to-date January markings of highs there in the 60s, we're going to see potential next leg up, all depending on politics and if the bulls take control. So let's see here. If anybody's interested in the endocannabinoid system, I always like this to be an educational channel. So if anybody's hasn't heard of it, pause this, read this. This is an excellent description of what's done. You can also go to cb1cap.com to get this intel. And let's look at a little bit of what's going on in the news. We've got vaping-related lung illness much lower in states with legal cannabis. This is a Marijuana Business Daily article that, again, you can pull from the URL up here. But what's most important is that we're having a focus on studies that were a little eclipsed by what happened in the world of cigarettes and general e-vaping for nicotine, where the dilution and, more importantly, the encapsulation and also the strength of the battery, the heat to this bizarre untested elixir inside, which was eviscerating the insides of consistent users' lungs. So it's very, very touchy subject for a lot of people. But the fact is that there's a focus on what happened in the cannabis world with specifically black market, and also those regulated cartridges, as they're called, because they're so little precedent, and there's really a need for the lawyers and the politicians to stop focusing on their interest groups and start focusing on the end user. And this is part of what the development of the whole industry is going through in its lurches as it matures. But at the end of the day, the end user is the most important. It's the same thing with that we're experiencing in big pharma. Sometimes big pharma takes control, the FDA does the wrong thing, or it gets paid off, or something goes sideways. multiple use of drugs isn't considered, and you have some extremely bad affects. But coming back to the research on the endocannabinoid system, you'll see, and if you dig in, you'll learn that it is really the road to homeostasis, not the road into imbalances or gateway drug, as it used to be called. So that's my introduction. On that side, let's talk a little bit about stocks. Right into Florida. Doobie's going to get into a bunch of fantastic names here, but I do want to lead in here with what's happening with Florida, and that is that we're getting a whole new regulation structure for edibles, which is going to increase this market significantly. And the names out of Florida that you'll see and that are the market leaders here for U.S. multi-state operators are Curaleaf and Trulieve. And on that note, I'm going to hand it to Doobie to get into a bunch of stocks. Let me pull up his screen here so you can see what he's looking at. And introduce yourself, Doobie, and let's go for it. It's on it.
Thank you, Clay. And good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, like Clay said, reading the news and everything, the United States market's looking really decent, you guys. I mean, there's no problems with them. They're trying to do everything right with their cash. So we're going to jump right into GRWG here. And here I'll start with the 5-minute for today. And you can see they ran on their news because they got a price target lift to $22 by Stifel today. So and they also got another one by Oppenheimer up to $25. So that looks decent for them. Don't look for the move all in one day, everybody. Look for a grind up. I did buy some today myself. I didn't go big, so if it does do pullback, I'll obey my stops and get out and take my losses in case it does pull back. But I do like it for a little push come Monday. The next one we're going to talk about, well, actually, let me go over here just a little bit on the 15-minute chart, and you can see the move going upward here. So it's still in trend. As long as it don't break trend, you guys, like I said, I got my stop here around 1550, I believe, and stuff. So if it breaks down below that, then I'm out. But otherwise, I'm going to follow this trend up on the 15-minute chart. So all right, I'm going to turn to the big doggy in Florida. We got Trulieve. I love this company, you guys. I mean, they're doing everything right in my eyes. They're looking for markets that have people in them. They're just not trying to open a store here and it's there and everywhere and putting 10 in one spot. And they're really good. They just got their edibles to be able to introduce in the Florida market. Clay was talking about that just a few seconds ago. And if you look at the 5-minute daily, you can see today it started this breakout over here as it was consolidating for the week and took off with the rest of the news with everybody else. Here's our 5-minute. It's looking very beautiful on the trend on the upward. 3-minute looks great. And here we're on our daily. Took its big run, got back, doing a reversal back up, looking good up here. It's probably around 24 in my opinion. So now we're going to switch over here to CGC. And with this one, you guys, they went out and got themselves 19 brick and mortar stores, which to me is a red flag. I don't like it. I'd be careful, but that's my opinion, you guys. I think they spent way too much money too fast there. They had some nice profits come in. They should have kept their cash and built their cash up here for at least the next 6 months while we're going through this pandemic and everything else. Money's going to get short and tight a little bit up there in Canada. I mean, it probably looks good for them in the future on that, but as a long-term hold, I'm still wary of CGC. I would just play it as a day trade, everybody. So we're going to switch over here to APHA. APHA today had a nice little run with all the news, with all the other guys. Broke through our R4, coming down. You can see it right through here. And consolidated pretty good going into the end of the day. So they might have a little bit more of a push back up to 5. On Monday, obviously, you need to watch the volume. You can see here down on the daily, had to run with everybody else, pulled back, consolidated, and now we're sitting in here in the cloud and looking like it wants to break out. So it's on an uptrend in the cloud on the daily, so that looks good. Only bad thing, you come over here to your 15-minute, got a little pullback in the day and stuff with good build up through the week. That's not bad. So as long as the news can keep coming in the following weeks, should see a little bit more uptrend for APHA too. The last one I'm going to talk about, you guys, before I turn it back over to Clay. We've got CRON. CRON is been going sideways, gets its moves, pops up, comes back down, and now we're coming back down again with a little consolidation and a little pop today with everybody else, obviously. They're at nice buy levels for day trades, you guys. Watch for the news. We got our D20 right here on the daily. So we're not far off of that. And I believe we said they're going to move on the news. As me and Clay are sitting here always watching the news and federal government and what they're doing, trying to enjoy these moves and make some money on them, you guys. So if you're catching some of these moves the last 4 months and they put them very nicely on their trend lines and their 5-minute chart, I don't think it's going to be a problem, you guys. So I'm going to turn it back over to Clay, you guys, and everybody have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, DB. That was fantastic. Incredible charts. I love how the Ichimoku cloud really presents some very clear trends and giving us some nice guidance for which way to go, or at least which strength and weaknesses we have here in the market. So speaking of news, just want to pop back to this quick little bit of literature I found here on Florida for everybody to really steep themselves into, because it's really important that we now. So part of the whole regulation issue is that it's just it's ridiculous. There's no other industry that's being so over-regulated or so thoroughly combed through or so repeatedly blocked. So as we get the strength, and especially with these U.S. names getting these problems solved so that they can just do their business, be part of the capitalistic trade here. It's just important that we see that Florida's leading the charge here. Edibles shall be one of the following shapes, including the 3-dimensional forms of each shape. I wonder if Lucky Charms ever had to do this. You can have squares, circles, rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, because we all know what those are, ovals, or diamonds. But do not try to make a shape that looks like Cookie Monster or an elf or a Christmas tree. You will not be able to play. No, no other shapes, and edibles must be in the following forms: lozenges, gelatins, baked goods, chocolates, or drink powders. So you got those 4 options for you to succeed in this newfound business that will create $190 million worth of revenues, which will pump the state full of taxes, which is, by the way, why we talk about legalization, not decriminalization. Legalization is about making sure businesses know how to do business, not how end users know how to ensure their best products arrive at their doorsteps. So let's just focus on the market here, but make sure you know about the politics and regulations behind it. That's why this consultancy that I've created is for advising those in the business. And that's why Doobie's here with me looking at these charts and keeping us all honest and making sure we know what's what. So going to go one last bit here and focus on some names that we got from our Discord chat groups today that were looking for options, because at the end of the day, we do have a lot of volatility, and it's a lot of work to keep on top of it. That's why we have this Weed Watchers channel. ETFs that have been popping as a result of these names coming through. So and these ETFs do have options, which is nice. So they've been downtrodden as the whole market has and industry has, but they've regained and found a bottom, a base here, as we can see on the weekly. I've got the weekly and daily next to each other. Finally, the daily, we got a little bit of a pop here. As you can see, that's a really nice juicy green candle off of the bottom. It's a great reversal. We're now regaining our EMAs. We've got our 12 and our 21. We'll get up to our 50, and if we can get over this top here at 315, let's put a horizontal line right there. Boom, 315. We're going to see this industry rocket. So wait for, if you're looking for longer plays, swing plays, take a look at the ETFs in this group as we start to regain strength across the American names that will boost them all. The next one I like that got a lot of volume today was YOLO. Hilarious name. We all know what that means. You only live once, so get into this ETF. But we got a really nice bear flag reversal here where the bears have been getting in. That's a beautiful trend line, as we can see coming up on the weekly. Again, daily, 5-minute, 15-minute. We're seeing strength come in. We're seeing these top levels be tested. And when they get tested, as we know, past resistance becomes future support. So there we go at that line right there. That's what I got. It's 1266, thereabouts 1270 on YOLO. The last one I want to look at is, was it? We're just going to do two, just a comparison between some of the pump and dumps out there. We were taking a look at ACB, getting a lot of volume here after a tremendous downtroddenness. And as Doobie has raised before, and I've raised before, these companies, especially the Canadian ones, they didn't quite know how to spend their money, so they overspent. And when it turned out that they needed to show revenues, they couldn't show revenues because what they had bought were cannabis corporations, not cannabis cultivation, industrial grade, like for a big agricultural commodity level competition. So ACB popped today, which is really interesting because all it has on news is that the CTT Pharmaceutical Holdings in court over breach of commercialization deal, which one again comes back to where they are. So we're going to see a lot of interest in these names. Just be wary, you do your own due diligence as you go through here, especially when you're looking at your American names versus your Canadian names as the market leaders. So the next one I'm going to look at really close here is ACRGF, which is Acreage Holdings. Acreage Holdings has a huge position in canopy growth, but it is much like CRON, it straddles. So if you wanted further diversification for those people who are so wary of the past history in this, even though we are getting a tremendous pump forward, we take a look at these green candles coming in. Look at how we're going up. We're creating these cup and handles and testing these levels. And really, what I'd like to point out is these are load up zones. These are accumulation zones, which are very clear because of how many touches they've had over so many weeks. So on that note, I think we've covered a lot of news and the medicinal side, a bunch of charts, a bunch of history, and thanks again, Dewey, for being here and participating, and more Weed Watchers Weekly Review next week. Thanks for joining. Take care.